LAIC 2026 delivered everything. Massive plays, world-class talent, heartbreak, and even a Championship Sunday twist nobody saw coming. This is the Pokémon TCG Latin America International Championships recap, the final showdown of the Mega Evolutions era. Let's get straight into it. The climax of the Mega Evolutions format, the first international championships of the season. Thousands of competitors from around the world colliding in São Paulo, Brazil. If you missed any action, don't worry, we're breaking down everything. Meta shifts, stream highlights, top cut drama, and that ruling you've definitely heard about. Let's start where this story really began. 1 week before LAIC, Sin City set the stage. Las Vegas Regionals was the most refined version of the Mega Evolution format we've seen thus far. Players had weeks to test, tweak, and target the expected meta, and the results delivered. Nearly 3,000 Masters entered, but the final came down to a heavyweight clash. Liam Halliburton, Pittsburgh's champion with Enzoroark EX, up against Tord Reklev, the GOAT, piloting his latest take on Mega Absol Mega Kangaskhan EX. Game 1 completely one-sided. Cornerstone Ogerpon EX was demolishing through that Enzoroark. In Game 2, however, an impossible looking comeback from Liam, truly flipping the script with his 5% outs. But Game 3 belonged to Tord, locking in yet another regional title and sending the world into LAIC week with one question. Can anyone stop Mega Absol Mega Kangaskhan EX? With a short turnaround time, LAIC had finally arrived. 2,456 total trading card game competitors. For the first time ever, Masters had even broken the 2,000 players mark. 2,117 to be exact, plus there were 178 seniors and 161 juniors also competing to become LAIC champion. At the desk, Juancho Saldana and Pablo Meza, alongside Mike Ellis and Jesper Eriksson. Loaded stakes, but loaded talent. Time to see what the world had brought to Brazil. The final day 1 meta of the Mega Evolution format, and it was a beautiful mess of refinement. In number 1, Gholdengo continued to be the king of popularity. Number 2, Dragapult Duskmar, again staying on its heels. One of the first surprises, however, Charizard Pidgeot, continuing with a major resurgence following a rough Vegas showing. And then of course, in number 4, Mega Absol Mega Kangaskhan EX had demonstrated a spike after Tord's win. Right in 5th and 6th place were the 2 Gardevoir builds, both Straight and Jellicent, which would and could combine to nearly match Gholdengo in raw numbers. A mature meta, a balanced meta, a meta ready to be broken open. And the LAIC feature match didn't waste any time whatsoever. In round 1, they kicked things off with 2 defending IC champions. Miloslav Posledny and Gabriel Fernandez faced off in round 1, kicking off the tournament with a Gholdengo EX versus Charizard EX matchup. In round 2, you continue as they left off. 2 regional winners and who had already booked their place in the World's Championships in San Francisco, Aban Ahmed versus Gustavo Wada in a Gardevoir mirror, dripping with precision. From there, it was wall-to-wall stars, world champions, regional champions, and rising talents. A parade of elite play across every streamed round. Full links in the description. Seriously, treat yourself. After 8 rounds of Phase 1 Swiss, 367 players pushed through to Phase 2, and this is where the meta truly exploded. Gholdengo Solrock Lunatone, a ridiculous 21% of the Phase 2 competitors, one of the strongest conversion rates we've seen all season. Mega Absol Mega Kangaskhan had even surged into 2nd place, but was 10% lower at 11%. Straight Gardevoir and Jellicent Gardevoir combined would actually end up equaling Gholdengo's numbers once again, But Dragapult Dusknoir did hold firm slightly but fell to 5th place at just under 10%. And then from then on, it was a steep decline. Charizard under 5%. If Phase 1 was fairly balanced, Phase 2 told a different story. The world had come ready to really make it rain. LAIC continued that intensity in Day 2 with some of the craziest matches we've had all season. The stream kicked off with round 10, Daichi Shimada's Mega Absol Mega Kangaskhan deck against Kieran Farrah's Gholdengo EX. These two were the most represented decks in Phase 2, clashing on center stage. We also saw last year's finalist, Brent Tonneson, piloting the same deck as Daichi, Mega Absol Mega Kangaskhan EX, versus Pedro Pertuzzi's Gardevoir Jellicent. Every match in Phase 2 felt like a mini-final. Champions everywhere, pressure through the roof. 14 Swiss rounds later, we arrived at one of the most accurate top cuts of the entire season. The top 9 decks of the asymmetrical top cut, 3 Gholdengo EX, 2 Mega Absol Mega Kangaskhan's, 2 Gardevoir Jellicents, 1 Dragapult Dusknoir, and 1 Charizard Pidgeot. And as you can see, a true representation of what the Phase 2 meta was. Now, as we were competing in an asymmetrical top cuts with 9 players, 9th place was facing off 8th for that opportunity to be in that official top 8. But once that was done, it was time for the championship bracket play. Our first top cut stream match was a top 8 battle between Dragapult and Gardevoir. Justin Templar versus Sebastian Lashmet. A matchup we've seen many times, but rarely this intense. In game 1, Sebastian was able to lock down the game very quickly with that Frillish's item lock attack, because Justin was just unable to get anything really going. In game 2, however, Justin demonstrated just how strong that Phantom Dive attack was, utilizing it multiple times, and even when confused, finding the way out to be able to take multiple knockouts in one go. Game 3, however, it was the turn of Technical Machine Devolution that turned the tide. It provided Sebastian with the tempo he needed with some clutch top decks of the Mew EX, and then utilizing finally that Screamtail to close the set. A true nail biter. And now we've headed into our top 4 matches. The first top 4 match, top 4A, had Pedro Pertuzzi up against Yoshiyuki Yamaguchi. It was Gardevoir Jellicent versus Mega Absol EX Mega Kangaskhan EX. In game 1, Yoshiyuki hit fast with Claw of Darkness from Mega Absol, and despite removing multiple key resources, once Pedro was able to stabilize, Screamtail became the MVP, KOing Absol in the active spot before targeting down other key attackers from Yoshiyuki's side of the board. Game 2, once again Yoshiyuki was able to apply early pressure, but this time from one turn, Pedro's Drifloon delivered a huge knockout, eventually coming down to Pedro taking down a second Mega Pokemon to take all 6 prizes and sealing his spot in the finals. With Pedro already through to Championship Sunday, all eyes now were locked into this other top 4 match to find out who his opponent would be. Would it be Gabriel Fernandez or would it be Sebastian Lashmet? This was Charizard Pidgeot versus Gardevoir EX. In game 1, Gabriel's board came online pretty quickly. Pidgeot and Charizard EX quickly established, overwhelmed Sebastian before he can find a real footing in the game. Game 2, and despite being under Frillish's item lock, Gabriel adapted brilliantly with Fezandipity in the active and utilizing its Cruel Arrow attack with an incredibly timed unfair stamp. Once it did go down, he was able to secure the advantage and punched his ticket to Championship Sunday. Brazil at this point had its dream final, or so we thought. In the early hours of Championship Sunday, certain murmurs were beginning to spread, and moments before the TCG Masters Finals, Pokemon had announced, as a result of a post-game ruling, there has been an adjustment to our 2026 LAIC TCG Masters finalists. Therefore, Gabriel Fernandez would not play in the finals. Instead, the Masters became a Gardevoir Jellicent mirror. Pedro Pertuzzi versus Sebastian Lashmet. A shock to the room, a shock to Brazil, and a moment people will be discussing all season. Championship Sunday therefore began with our juniors division. Haruki Okunishi wins with Grimmsnarl EX, demonstrating a masterclass in pressure placement, ball control, and Monkey Dory dominance over Charizard EX Pidgeot. In the seniors division, it was Luca Levain who won with Gholdengo EX, a resource management war up against Pidgeot control that went the distance, and with Luca securing the final through perfect timing and clean sequencing. And then we finally came to our TCG Masters final. Pedro Pertuzzi versus Sebastian Lashmet. Gardevoir Jellicent versus Gardevoir Jellicent. Or in actual reality, Jellicent versus Jellicent. In game 1, Sebastian's prizes were brutal, and it was the first thing all of us had seen. All 3 Monkey Dory hiding away in those prizes. This allowed Pedro to establish an early lock alongside Monkey Dories to be able to close out game 1 pretty comfortably. Game 2, Sebastian struck back. In the same way Pedro had built out his board, he had dismantled Pedro's in game 2 with the right sequencing and keeping board control with Jellicent in play, taking out Pedro's Jellicent where necessary before finally closing out the game. Going all the way into game 3, a key turn removing both Frillish and Routes crippled Sebastian's setup, leaving him with just Monkey Dories in play. Pedro then controlled the board, won on board state, and eventually became your LAIC 2026 Masters champion. A hometown hero and champion from Brazil, a storybook ending. Well, what's next? Just 1 week, that's all players get before Stuttgart Regionals, the first event where Phantasmal Flames becomes legal. Therefore, we're getting new megas, new trainers, new engines. This format could look very different, but of course we're working with a very large card pool now in this current format, but I can't wait to break it all down. That closes out the Latin America International Championships recap, the perfect finale to the Mega Evolution era. If you enjoyed the breakdown, please hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What was your biggest surprise at LAIC? Or what are you hoping to see in Stuttgart? This has been Alex Dao. See you right after Stuttgart. Peace.